So, we're still listening to Suck My Opinion, and he talked earlier about polarization, and he seemed like he talked almost like it was negative. It seemed it might be poor recollection.
Yeah, no, he was talking about polarization being necessary, and the polarization lies from what I got from what he is saying. The line is saying either you're racist or you're not.
Yeah,
racist.
That's what he is.
You know, he wants whoever is running for the Democratic Party to be like, "Hey, Trump supporters, y'all fucking racist and y'all can suck it." No politician's gonna do that. But that's it'd
be nice if they did.
And so he went on to talk about, you know, neoliberals. He was saying neoliberals will go to the black barbecue and talk to them about, you know, their plight, what the problem is, what they need. And I'm like, okay, that's great. You can talk about it. That's what politicians do. But once they get into power, what do they do about it? They rarely do anything. And he talked about, you know, the governor of Illinois saying he's going to, you know, legalize marijuana and make sure the black neighborhoods have dispensaries. And that's fantastic. That's a wonderful thing. But you have to understand, when it comes to white people, it's not just the racists and the non-racists. That's not how white people break down.
No, it's not.
And
you got the apathetic in there.
And so, to me, he is seeing it in a light that is too polarized. Cedric said it just right. It's the apathetic, and the apathetic is the majority of the Republican Party, meaning, Democratic Party, meaning that I don't care if black people have shit or not.
My life is good.
My life is good, and I'm
I have a good job. I make money. I'm good.
You know, they're not actively out there with the hoods and the sheets and Blue Lives Matter. No. They're not doing none of that. But it's all about their interest, and their interest at the sacrifice of black people is just fine with them. Not because they're black, because they don't give a shit about any of it. Black, brown, red, whatever. Long as they're poor, white, whatever. Long as their interests are supported, and there's a large slice of the populace, white people, who are like that. So deeming it as being black or white, tit for tat, when it comes to white people being racist or not, you have to dig deeper into it. They can get on TV. Yes, I love black people. I'm gonna give them this. I'm gonna give them that. Why? Either because they really think that blacks should be equal, or it supports their bottom line. And the bottom line is always going to come first and foremost. And he was talking about, you know, Bernie saying that racism isn't the problem, economics is the problem. And I see how that is offsetting. It's very off-putting to hear that, especially when you live in deep in the heart of racism. I understand that completely.
Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, Georgia, you know, South Carolina, half of North Carolina, Virginia, pieces of West Virginia. Yeah, but shit.
But what I've been saying for years, and Cedric
Tennessee at points,
and Cedric
Tennessee, I think,
and Cedric can vouch for this, is that racism is the tool of classism.
Yep. Without racism, you get no classism.
It's the tool of classism. If back during the colonies, before, you know, when they, right back in the 1400s, when they started, you know, getting slaves from Africa and bringing them all up and down the Americas, north and south, if somehow it had been deemed that enslaving them would be less economically viable than working with them, slavery never would have happened, because that would have affected the bottom line. Yeah, the Bible says that they're this, but if we work with them, we'll make a gazillion much more than if we enslaved them. If that thinking had come down the pipe back in the 1400s, the whole landscape would be different, because it's about the money. It's always been about the money. And I think earlier said my opinion.
Came here in the first place.
I think earlier said my opinion says, that they use racism to pit people against each other. Yeah, it's perfect. It's divisive. We're down here scrapping about who's racist and who's not, and cancel culture and what's happening with the rich.
And they up there counting their money.
Exactly. It's a tool. But yeah, you're right. You can't go to black people who are poor and knee deep in racism and watch hangings in their lifetime and say it's not racism, it's economics. No, it's not gonna fly. Because I get that. I understand that. But there's much more nuance and context to it, and you can't just be like whites or this or that, because it's that sliver in the middle, and that sliver in the middle is where most Democrats are, especially the rich ones in power. They don't give a shit. They'll judge the room. They look their finger and they put in the air. Black Lives Matter room, and that Black Lives Matter from the tips of their hair to the soles of their foot. And then next week they look their finger, put in the air. Wall Street crowd, and then they're Wall Street from the tips of their hair to the soles of their foot.
And they'll repeat it and be like, oh, all lives matter is the thing. And then they'll do that, and then people rage out against it. They say, you know what, I made a mistake. And
I'm sorry.
I've grown from that.
Which was 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
You have to identify that, because that is a huge problem that needs to be dealt with. I don't know. I don't have a solution for it. And I'll say that. I don't know how to make people who are self-centered give a fuck about someone who is not them.
Yep.
How do we make Nancy Pelosi give a fuck about a world outside of her bubble that she's created for herself over the last 20, 30 years? There ain't no way. If you can get on TV and do that fucking interview and show your fucking freezers and your designer ice cream and think that it's going to make you relatable, you out your goddamn mind. That is the huge problem. She don't give a shit. Somebody said, oh, it'll be great. It'll be fun. They'll love you. Equating to Elizabeth Warren drinking a beer like she's an everyday person. Yeah, it's fake. It's phony. But it's sold to everyone who's like her. And that's all that matters, because the rest of us don't amount to a hill of beans.
That self-centered thing. You think, literally, anyone listening, you think you can get Nancy Pelosi to not be self-centered? She's got money. I know somebody that's so self-centered they can't think past their own nose about anybody else. If you ain't blowing up their head or agreeing with them, they don't give a shit. And they'll tell you that they love you, they like you, but if you ain't talking about them, they don't care. And if you are talking about them, they're like, good, you make me feel good at the moment. Bye, see you when I see you. And they don't give a shit.
Nancy Pelosi, though.
So Nancy got money.
She got serious money. She got money. She got power. She's old and she's had all that shit for a long time. She don't care that there are people in Alabama that are so poor they can't read and ain't got street lights.
And no internet and stuff. Look, Nancy Pelosi wanted that thing. You know why it sold? That thing sold, to social media, to people that watch, progressives like me and progressive enough like TYT and Secular Talk. They don't like it. They saw it and they're like, wait a minute, whoa, that's stupid. Fuck you, Nancy. But without TYT and Secular Talk, and maybe the few that listen to me that didn't know, but you know what? Those that don't have access or don't want to listen to us, they're the ones that's like, oh man, she got that designer ice cream, man. She know what she doing, man. She got that money to do that. That's why we got her in there. We need Nancy Pelosi because she's awesome. Because people always bow down and suck the dick of rich people. Yeah. They will carpet rub the shit out of some rich people. They have no problem with that. They love it. They dwell in it. And if you show somebody, it's like, well, I got money now, but I didn't have money before, like Bernie did. And they're like, wait, what? I don't know about you, man. How you gonna be in charge of this? Ain't got no money, and we all know you need money to run for any campaign. So you ain't got no money. That means you can't run. I ain't gonna vote for you, especially if you a Jew. So it's got all that work. When it's like, then they come out and say, Bernie Sanders, you know what? How you gonna talk about being for the little man and all this when you just made a few $1 million off your book, and those same people that hated him was like, yeah, man, you gonna make all that money. See, you rich, you don't know shit. And it's like, well, what the fuck?
Yeah, the worship of the wealthy is another primary problem, culturally, socially, politically, with this country. The country has been going on and on for 2 weeks about who the hell Jada Pinkett Smith fucked. Who gives a great goddamn? I don't care.
Be like, hey, that bitch ain't paying my bills. I don't give a fuck.
She could be in the street fucking frogs right now. I don't give a shit. It doesn't matter. I don't care what she's doing. Will, Kim, Kanye, Beyonce. I don't care.
I don't give a fuck about none of them bitches.
It don't make an amount to a hill of beans, but everybody caring so much. Oh, we're at the beehive and all that bullshit.
What did Will Smith say? What did the K-Hive say? Who did Jada fuck? Who did Will let her fuck? Let's not worry about chronology. Kanye, he's been so pro-Trump, but now he's against Trump. We're going to be voting for him because he rap. And then you're worried about that. And then if it ain't that, it's what's the next dog or cat video? Nobody gives a fuck about anything. And then they want you to be on their side while they're not giving a fuck. People, I'm telling you, it's you. It ain't the politicians. The politicians were once you. And when you literally boast and enable capitalism the way you do, they rise to prominence in that. Because they know that's what you respond to. So they say, I got the money. Look at how well I dress. Look how articulate I am. Look how calm I speak. You will vote for me. Plus, I'm Democrat, so you're tribal anyway. And I'm Republican, so you're tribal anyway. Either way, hate or love, the apathy, those are your divided lines right there. Apathy is like, I don't give a fuck what side does what so long as my pockets stay the way they are.
Exactly. And there has been enough decades that have passed for people to be able to see that the American dream, which is why these politicians and these celebrities are so worshipped, because they've made it. I could be like them. I could graduate from high school and go to Hollywood and flash my teeth and I would be a star. That belief in the American dream is so entrenched that they're still peddling it. And people are still believing it. Even though, as Suck Your Opinion just said, there are people in Alabama who can't read, who live in institutional poverty and don't have street lights. And it's not just there. It's systemic across the country.
Yep, like you said, people don't leave here, and people ain't coming here.
And there's been
and he's college educated, and if you hear him, you can hear he's college educated, but then you can also hear like maybe he ain't. It's right there. He's right there in the middle. So I give him a lot of passes on a lot of things because
that's the conundrum of living in the South and being Southern, because you sound like to the upper crust. Even if the upper crust ain't the upper crust, that you're not educated.
I do declare he did pronounce that word wrong and very incorrectly, so I think he's not educated at all. I think he's lying about his college education. I don't think he has anything to do with math. I do not think he can read either. I think maybe someone is telling him this in his ear and he's just trying to relay it quickly.
This has lapsed over into what initially I wanted to say, but yeah, the country is polarized, but white people, the majority, which they are, it's more than just racist and anti-racist. It's that sliver in the middle, which is a large sliver that controls most of everything. They don't care about us, especially since this pandemic has hit. The Democrats, which are supposed to be for the people, let's fuck the election. The Democrats, which are supposed to be for the people, have shown that they do not care and do not want us to survive. If they did, they would have done more. But our survival maybe doesn't benefit their bottom line.
It's been Cedric and Sidra for Comparative Reasoning. Thank you for listening.